Alright guys, it's a Kobeleka with solving a previous question papers. Alright, okay, without wasting any time, let's start with question 5, 2017 question paper. Alright, here we are given a hyperbola graph and we are given an exponential graph here. Alright, and we do know that this is an asymptote. All right, so this is an asymptote of exponential graph, and this is an asymptote of hyperbolic graph, and this is also an asymptote, but this one has to be negative. All right, okay, the first question is saying determine f of minus 3. Here at minus 3, we normally have x here. It means that wherever we see x in this graph, we have to put that negative 3. So whatever answer that we're gonna get there is gonna be exactly by putting your negative 3 here, and you get that answer, right? In this case it's gonna be negative 3 plus 2, which is negative 1. Negative 3 divided by negative 1 is 3 plus 1, which is 4. The answer would be 4, and it's just 1 mark, as you can see. Okay, 5.2, determine x if g of x is equal to 4, meaning this part should be equal to 4 before you determine your x, right? That means if here we have 4, we have to take this one to this side, 4 to this side. So we'll have 4 plus 4, which is 8, and we know that we can write 8 in an exponential form, which is going to be 2 to the power 3. So in that case, the denominator, the bases are the same, is 2, and this side is 2. So simply cancel 2 with 2. You will be left with 3 as an exponent, and a minus x on this side as an exponent, meaning your answer would end up being 3 equals to minus x. Then you divide everything by minus x, you end up having x equals to minus 3. Okay, write down the asymptote of f. They are saying not the equation, the asymptote. It means that you have x y value is gonna be 1, and x value of asymptote or horizontal asymptote, it's 1, and vertical asymptote, it's negative, not plus 2, it's negative 2, right? So those are your answers, and it's just 2 marks. Write down the range of g. All right, this is a restriction of the graph. It means that the graph won't go below minus 4. And remember, the graph has to be above the asymptote because a is positive. So our range is going to be y is greater than minus 4, because the graph can be in anywhere above, or can exist everywhere above negative 4, but it will never touch negative 4 or go below negative 4. Hence the answer or the range would be y must be greater than negative 4. So that would be our range, and it's just 1 mark. Okay, 5.5, determine the coordinate of the x and y intercept of g. Okay, for y you simply put x be 0, and your answer would be whatever answer that you get. For x intercept, y is gonna be 0, and you solve for x. All right, so those will be your values, and it's 5 marks. You have so much marks without any effort. 5.6, determine the equation of the axis of symmetry of f each which has a negative gradient. For this one, I will have to illustrate on the worksheet for you to understand it. All right. So for axis of symmetry with negative gradient, you have y equals to negative x plus c, right? So what is our y? Y in this case is the horizontal asymptote, and the x is a vertical asymptote. Okay, this is only applicable to axis of symmetry. All right, so our y was 1, which is horizontal asymptote, and our vertical asymptote was negative 2, so it's going to be negative 2 plus c. So the value of c is going to be, this is going to be plus, and we take 2 to the side, it's going to be 1 minus 2, okay, equals to c. So this end up being minus 1 equals to c. Our equation with the negative gradient is going to be y equals to negative x, this is a negative gradient, minus 1. So this is the answer that they are looking for. If they were asking for the positive gradient, it means that we wouldn't have this negative. Everything else will remain the same, but the only change would be the fact that we wouldn't be having negative here. All right. Yeah, that's it. All right. 5.7, they are asking us to sketch the graph of f and g on the same set of axes. So we already calculated our x-intercept and y-intercept, and we already know even the asymptote of that graph. All right. So that means it's gonna be easy for us to plot that graph of f. For g, is still easy. For G still easy in the sense that we know the restriction of the graph. If the graph has to move above negative 4, that is asymptote. The second point here is the fact that y-intercept, we can put here 0 for y-intercept. So it would mean that 2 to the power 0 is 1. 1 negative 1 minus 4 is going to be minus 3. So our y-intercept is minus 3, right? So for x-intercept, it means that we're going to push this guy to the side, and we'll have 4 equals to 2 to the power negative x. So we can write 4 in the form of exponents. So it's going to be 2 to the power 2. That means the denominator, the bases are the same. So just cancel 2 with 2, and your 2 is going to be equals to your exponent equal to another exponent. You have 2 equals to negative x. So you simply divide by negative x to get your x-intercept being negative 2. Right, so you plot those, and I will show you the solution if how did they work that out. Okay, so that is our 5.7. For this part, I will do this on a separate videos because they are a little bit tricky for people to understand. I want you to score on the easy part, and even if you haven't scored this part, you already have 19 marks, so you are better off without that part. Okay, let's quickly go to the solution and see how did they work this out. So this was okay. This was the first part, we determined this. And the second part, where g of x is equal to 4, we determined to be negative 3. I have determined that one. Okay, they have illustrated that part here. They asked you about asymptote. X asymptote is negative 2, and y asymptote is 1. All right. This was the range. So your range y must be greater than that negative 4. We have said that. Okay, y-intercept, we've said this. So you put this to be 0, and that is your y-intercept. Okay. For x-intercept, you do the same thing. Where there is y, you put 0, and then you solve for x. Then this is your x value. Okay. Here they were asking about the axis of symmetry. You have determined this one to be this, right? Okay, because they ask specifically for the negative gradient, hence you have negative here, right? So you just plot your graph here, and this is your horizontal asymptote of f of x, which is at 1, and vertical asymptote, which was the vertical asymptote is this one at -2, and this is your horizontal asymptote of the exponential graph, which is g at 4, and this was your -3 being y-intercept of this graph, and we also determine that the x-intercept of g of x is negative. You can prove, you can work that out if we left you behind. We have proved that to be at -2, the x-intercept. We have determined that. All right. Okay, on question 6, we are given a parabola graph or equation, and we're also given a straight line equation. And there are no values here. It means that these guys are going to ask us about this graph, or to determine this equation, I mean. Alright. But if you look at the graph, you already have an advantage because point A is given on this graph, on this equation. So you only need 1 point to determine the gradient and C. We are also having D here. It's an advantage because you know it's just a y asymptote. It's a y-intercept of f of x. It means that this is 0 is to 6, so you already have 2 coordinates. It's easy to get this this equation, meaning you'll be able to determine the gradient, and you'll be able to use a point to determine c as well, right? What about b and c? B and c, x-intercept of f of x. How do we determine x-intercept of f of x? We'll just equate this to be 0. F of x is going to be 0, and we'll solve for x. Then the x value that is negative is for b, and the x value that is positive is for c. Okay, let's see what they're asking for us. X-intercept, so we'll determine x-intercept. Okay, get 4 marks without doing anything that is strange. Rather than the equation of axis of symmetry, let me show you that one done. Right. For axis of symmetry for hyperbolic graph is given by a turning point x value, which is x equals to minus b over 2a. Right. From the given graph, okay, let's just go to the graph. Let's quickly go to the graph. So, and the information, we're given an equation of f of x to be this, and we know a is here being -1, b is here being also -1. All right, so this is gonna be minus into -1 over 2a into -1. So this take care of this one. So we're left with -1 over -2. So this is an equation of symmetry. This is just, it's a x equals to something. That is an equation of symmetry for parabolic graph. It's just that, right?